Today I'd like to talk about arguably the most important thing about Photoshop, other than layers and everything else, is selections. Now, we've always had the marching ants going around your selection, but you can never really see the expand or contract, the border, the smooth, the feather. You can never really see what it's actually doing. And the marching ants are kind of a pain, but not anymore. We don't need the marching ants, and we can see everything to make the most accurate selections you can for your photos. So let's get into what I'm talking about here, about selections and the best way to see and use them. Let's go. Now, to get this magic to start to happen, you only need 2 keyboard shortcuts to remind yourself on how to do it. Simple letters, L and W. Simple as that. Now I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here we are in Photoshop. Now the thing we're going to do, let's copy the layer so we can compare or do whatever we wish. Now let's go over here. The object selection tool in your toolbar should be at the very top of your W selection. Now, just above it, the selection brush tool should be the very top in L, so you won't be using your lasso tool anymore. Now, I'll show you what I mean here. If those things aren't like that, go to Edit and Toolbar. Now, you'll see everything in here. Make sure it's set up properly for what we're about to do. All right. Now, for the most part, a person will hit Select Subject, and it selects the guy there, yours truly, and we get the marching ants. There, let's zoom in a bit. You get the marching ants around. It makes a half-decent selection, but you still can't make a really accurate selection. So let's look at the top here. The first thing you should do once you hit Select Subject, never mind anything else, just hit L. All of a sudden, your selection is in magenta or whatever, color you choose. Up here in the little sprocket, you get all kinds of different colors that you want to do. Now, this is where the magic happens. You never have to see the marching ants again. So you can either go in your contextual taskbar to do any sort of selection thing, or go over to Select, Modify. Now, let's do expand. Before, you would expand, let's say 4 pixels, and the marching ants would move, but you didn't really know where they went. Using the L and the selection brush tool, do 4 pixels, and bam, you can actually see where those 4 pixels went. Now, let's undo that. We'll go back again, modify. We'll contract by 4 pixels. And bam, you can actually see where it does. The marching ants don't enter into it anymore. Again, modify. Except this time, we'll go feather. You've never been able to see what the feather does. So now I'll exaggerate it here, and I'll just go like 10 pixels to feather the selection. And bam, you can see what it feathered and how accurate it could be. Here, I'll zoom out a bit on here. And you can see the feathering. No longer guessing what the marching ants are doing. You can actually see what's going on. So let's undo that. Now, let's go to smooth. Same thing, I'll exaggerate it here, 10 pixels. And once again, the smooth actually shows up. Marching ants, you don't have to worry about them, and you can see what the smooth has done to your actual selection. It's brilliant. Why didn't Adobe tell us about this before? Once I noticed something here, I don't know anybody but border. Let's do border. Let's do 10 pixels. And bam. What have you got here? You got a border. Let's go down here to solid color and, kind of make it white or whatever. And you've got your border. You could do anything you want with it. You've got a mask with it, and you can do anything you want with it. Now, let's undo that. Let's go back one last time to select, modify, and border again. Let's exaggerate it and make 100 pixels. And bam, you've got this great glowy border here. It's amazing. You haven't done anything like an adjustment layer to alter it at all. So you can always go back and let's feather it 10 pixels. And you can see that it actually moved. Before, after, before, after. It's actually moving. So the marching ants never have to come back again. You can get more accurate selections with this. Now, this also works with using Generative Fill or any other tool. You don't ever have to leave this. So let's go back out. And I've got myself here all just selected in one thing. You can use Generative Fill or do anything you want, and you never have to leave. You don't have to go back to the marching ants and see, oh, well, have I got my selection? Just leave it there. You can create masks, adjustment layers. You never have to leave your accurate selection you just created. This is brilliant. I use this all the time, and you can get better and more accurate selections, especially when you're using Generative Fill or any other thing to add or subtract to this photo. Love it. Getting better or more accurate selections doesn't have to be a hassle anymore. Can we say the marching ants are over? We don't need them. You can pretty much do anything you want by just simply typing L and using that shortcut so you can see your selection. You can see the feather, you can see the contract, you can see the expand, everything. You don't have to guess anymore by looking at the marching ants. Marching ants are over. Everybody should glom onto this. This is brilliant. Thanks, Adobe. You guys kicked ass with this, but never told anybody. Leave me a comment below if you actually discovered this a long time ago or use it all the time. I use it all the time, and my selections are starting to be brilliant no matter what I'm trying to select or do with a layer. I'm done from Photo 911. See ya.